It's time to go inside out with our NBA insider Ian Begley. So Ian, no contract extension for Quickley. How do you think this is going to impact not just him necessarily, but also the team this season?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have this contract situation hanging over a season, I think there's a concern that the player may press a little bit, may try to do too much. But based on what Immanuel Quickley said today and based on what people around him say about how he approaches his craft, I don't think the Knicks have to worry about that. Quickley, he said today all the right things. Basically, I'm moving on. I just want to help this team win games. I want to get better every day. That's where my focus is. And I don't think it was just, empty rhetoric, because you talk to people who know him pretty well, and they say that's how he is. He's a self-starter, he's a worker, and he's going to be able to turn the page on this and focus on the Celtics on opening night and then everybody else the rest of the season.
Well, the Knicks struggled in the preseason, especially on defense. They gave up more than 120 points per game, finishing with a record of 1-3. So how can this team flip the switch defensively when the regular season starts on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think that was part of the problem in the regular season. They were more kind of easing into it than they were kind of taking everything as seriously as Tom Thibodeau was. And after that last loss to the Wizards, when Jordan Poole had 40-plus points in the Garden, Tom Thibodeau was not happy. And he said, we have a week here to get ready for Boston. So I think what they've done over this past week, they've corrected some of the things that they saw on tape in the preseason. And you would expect them to be pretty strong defensively early on because they have almost everybody coming back from last season. You have the continuity. These guys know how Tom Thibodeau wants to defend. So they were pretty good last year on defense. You would expect them to be around the same, 15, 17 in defensive efficiency overall.
Last season, they made it to the conference semifinals, and then they lost the eventual Eastern Conference champs in the Heat. The most notable offseason addition for the Knicks was signing Donte DiVincenzo. Do you think that they did enough to make a deep playoff run this season?
Well, Michelle, you look at what Milwaukee did, right, with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then you look at what Boston did, adding Drew Holiday. I mean, those moves, and adding Kristaps Porzingis, who, if healthy, will impact winning. Those moves are big-time moves for teams that were already ahead of you. So I think it's going to be tough for the Knicks, assuming everybody's healthy, for them to get through that second round of the playoffs and break through to the conference final, because then you're talking about beating either a Milwaukee or a Boston in a 7-game series. And again, if everybody's healthy, that's a tall order. And so I think the Knicks, they're betting on continuity here, but if you know what's going on here the past 3+ years, Leon Rose has said, we're going to be appropriately aggressive if the right opportunity presents itself. So I think particularly if the Knicks are, around 500 or maybe scuttling a little bit around the trade deadline, I would think they'd be aggressive on the trade market to try to pick up, a veteran to try to push this thing forward, because they know internally that they have to show progress coming off of last season. No matter what the record is at the end of the year, it has to feel like progress for this thing to continue in the right direction.
You're absolutely right. Well, the Knicks open the season Wednesday at 7 o'clock when they host the Celtics. Ian, thank you so much for your time and insight, and I'll see you at the Garden for the opener.